Like you're like, please come to my feed and make fun of me. By the way, I want to really fuck my mom.
So he writes here, having watched the Madison Cawthorn tape, I will say that I don't think it is actually necessarily a gay tape. This looks to me like the type of homoerotic hazing humor bros do when they put dicks on each other's faces while the other one is asleep. Okay. I feel like okay, Felix, you were the appointed defender of Ben Dreyfus in this tweet. I will be the appointed defender of humor bros, of which we have been fairly and unfairly tarnished with that association in the past. I have okay, maybe you guys can fill me in on. You can let our listeners know. Have I ever rubbed my dicks on any of your guys' faces while you were asleep, or otherwise incapacitated, or just
I
you
was
awake?
No.
Okay, you were awake?
But wide awake.
No, I mean, well, that's we're all in our 60s. I first exhibit. I would call the court's attention to the fact that defendant Dreyfus does not say like specific age here, but if you're using your imagination, if you are choosing to be generous as opposed to ungenerous with defendant Dreyfus's statements, it is implied, or it could be seen, that he is talking about what humor bros do when they are young teenagers, when they're adolescents, when they're in middle school, when they're away at summer camp. Because I do think that this may be a generational thing. I don't know. For people who have been born, right around 9/11, I don't know if they do this anymore. Maybe they don't. Maybe times have changed. But when I was a kid, when I was 12 years old in the 1960s, this would happen.
See, I remember when I was a kid or at summer camp, like this was the kind of thing that was like spoken about like as happening, but like in the same register as like your friend who said he got a blowjob or something. It was just sort of like it was rumored to have occurred, but I never actually saw anyone participate in doing the whole. Was it the goggles or the Roman helmet where you put your dick and balls over someone's eyes when they're asleep? It just seems like one of those things like Dirty Sanchez or Donkey Punch that like the teenage boys sort of goose each other with like lurid tales of, but like never actually really happened.
It was on the horizon.
Yeah,
but it was not something that ever really eminentized.
Well,
yeah.
It looks like we have two guys who always left right before the orgy started. Not exactly that. But no, I have seen this. I will not say no. Not all boys did this, but a lot. I have witnessed it with my own eyes. Not anymore. I haven't seen this lately. I've not been anywhere where this happens lately. But in my past of my childhood, yes, I have seen this take place. It does happen. I won't say that all boys do this, but I will say probably at least a third of boys do put their balls on each other. Absolutely.
Your Honor, I rest my case. So Ben continues, I once went to a Fabulous concert in Boise, Idaho. That's, I believe, Fabulous, the rapper, not just
yes.
a Fabulous concert. And me and a bunch of dudes stayed in a hotel room together and woke up to like 5 of them flapping their dicks at me and giggling at each other. I will also say that the video has indeed convinced me to retract my opinion about him not being invited to orgies. He seems spry. I've obviously had many a dick placed.
Okay, can I just say, with the comment he's referencing there was awesome. Ben Dreyfus, like on a day where everyone's just they're doing their formulaic tweets, Ben Dreyfus just like bursts in like the Kool-Aid man, and he's like, "Oh, where the fuck would you invite a guy in a wheelchair to an orgy?" Which, like, yes, that's a bad and mean thing to say, but like, man, we've said some pretty bad and mean.
I mean, I made that exact same joke. I made that exact same joke on the podcast.
Come on, dude. Everyone acting like they weren't thinking that a little bit, or at least in their own life have not, made a joke that mean or bad. Like I said, he's the sin eater. He thought that out loud for everyone else who was thinking that silently.
So yeah, he says, he seems spry. I've obviously had many a dick placed on my face while I was sleeping. You can't be my age and have gone to high school without having fallen asleep at least a few times at a party and woken up with everyone sharing photos of some dude named Landon or Tyler putting his dick on your face. Half my memories from 10th grade are people listening to Sum 41 and putting their dicks on my face. There are so many people.
Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. I will say that's
half.
Half is a
50%.
lot. That's quite a bit. That would have to happen like pretty much every day.
Yeah.
That's half your memories.
There are so many people named Ned or Colin texting someone right now being like, "Oh, remember when you dick faced me at Warped Tour? Want to know a
Ned?
really hilarious? Want to know a really hilarious? Okay, want to know a really hilarious but gross adolescent boys story? Well, I mean,
Do I?
I don't want to.
yes.
I don't want to answer too enthusiastically, but you know.
In middle school, the boys in my class had this game where everyone would play Tetris on the bus, and whoever got the lowest score, the person who got the highest score would bare ass them. Bare assing was farting in their face with their bare ass. At one time, this kid did it to another kid, and he sharted and accidentally pooped on the other kid's face. And for years, that other was called Poop Face.
Yeah.
Okay, no, like stuff like this does happen. It doesn't happen to every kid. It does happen.
Stuff like this will continue to be a problem until this particular problem bites up and fucks you square in the ass. Anyway, boys are weird, and Madison Cawthorn just seems like he has never grown up. One of the reasons I enjoy the Madison Cawthorn leaks is because it does bring out some weird homophobia in a lot of liberals, and it's always funny to see people accidentally reveal the latent evils they denounce in others. Why are people so afraid of revealing things like this? What's going to happen to them? Am I going to get shunned and forced out of the commune? The dumbest people on this website are the ones who are so profoundly lazy and stupid that if a tweet does not include an explicit moral condemnation, they assume it's an endorsement. I mean, again, Your Honor, actually, I retire my prosecution of Ben Dreyfus based on that last statement.
Yeah, facts. He's like, whether he is right or wrong, he is always coming from the heart. If I was on a school bus with him, I would call him Heartface because that's what came out of his mouth just now. Is statements from the heart.
I'm just imagining just five guys like a gauntlet of dicks, like, you know, being made to run the gauntlet, but just like on your knees with guys just slapping their dicks in your face, and Ben Dreyfus just going, "I can't put up with much more of this abuse much longer."
Well, I am glad that we didn't do the usual thing and snip like the funniest. Honestly, okay, well, I will, even as his counsel, now that the trial is over, I will admit the Sum 41 thing is hilarious. But I think he knew what he was doing there. I will say I think we all understand each other a little better after that threat. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel
I
like
understand that Felix had a much more interesting childhood than I did.
Yeah, I feel like I missed out on a lot of good fun spoofs and goofs among adolescent boys. Yeah, bonding.
That'd be funny if you showed up at like a summer camp now and were like, I feel like I like missed out. Could I like no, I don't want to molest the kids. I want to like get molested.
Yeah, I would like the children to put their dicks in my face. It's cool. It's fine.
No, I'm saying I want the coolest kid in camp to molest me.
Well, you know, like I said, Madison, I hate what they're doing to our boy right now. You know, it's so unfair. It's so unfair what's happening to him. And, you know, like I'm praying for him and his cousin. Praying for him and his cousin right now. I hope that these deep state attacks on him. I'm praying for like another 5 or 6 videos of this kind of shit coming out. But then I'd like them to stop. I'd like them to stop harassing my boy here.
Absolutely.
I want them to keep harassing him until he is sworn in as our president. And then he signs the bill like legalizing human hunting in that child scrawl of his.
That Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper style fucking cursive that he writes with.
Yeah.
I think it's nice.
As long as you guys are having fun, do you want to quickly do this letter to the editor of the Harvard Crimson about BDS? Because it's pretty funny.
Okay.
I saw the one quote about it. It was the one quote from it that was pretty great.
Yeah. Well, let's just keep going. You know, it's people deserve some laughs. All right, this is a quick one. I saw it today before we started recording, and I bookmarked it because I knew it would be a good one to do for the show. But this is a letter to the editor of the Harvard Crimson by the former editor of the Harvard Crimson or president of the Harvard Crimson, a guy named Ira E. Stoll. And this is a letter that Larry Summers shared and called brilliant and convincing. So I just like to share this with you guys now and our audience. This is letters to the editor in response to, in support of boycott, divest, sanctions, and a free Palestine. To the editor, In general, I think the content of the Crimson should be up to undergraduates, not alumni. And in the almost 30 years since I was president, this is the first time I can remember that I am furious enough to write with a complaint. That is an indicator of how disgusted I was with the staff editorial published this morning after Holocaust Remembrance Day, singling out Israel among all other nations for boycott, divestment, and sanctions. What would Harvard boycotting Israel look like? It would be a less diverse and inclusive Harvard. The Harvard University Diversity and Inclusion website states, "We all belong here, together. We strive to create an environment that values diversity, promotes an inclusive culture, and establishes a profound sense of belonging for each member of our community." How are Israeli students or Jewish students supposed to feel valued and included when the Crimson is calling for a boycott of the Jewish state, literally advocating exclusion in the form of unlawful discrimination on the basis of religion and national origin? I can't believe I can't believe anyone who graduated college 30 years ago gives a shit what goes on at the the place they attended school at.
If
But
they
Harvard
do,
is
then,
special.
they have fail aids. If you care about what's going on in your alma mater, you have sucked. You have failed at life. You should be caring about literally anything else.
Yeah, it is very depressing to think about anyone doing that, of checking in.
It would be a less educationally sound Harvard. How would students be supposed to study the history of Israel or the Middle East without interacting with any Israelis or without visiting Israel? First of all, I think any course at Harvard that does teach the history of the founding of the state of Israel has probably been banned already by this guy. It would be a less healthy Harvard. No Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. Israeli public health data was used to validate its use here in America. No life-saving Teva generic pharmaceutical medicines dispensed at Harvard's teaching hospitals. It would be a less environmentally friendly Harvard. No chance of eating vegetables grown with water-saving Israeli drip irrigation agricultural technology. No gas-saving self-driving cars equipped with Israeli LIDAR technology. Here's the money graph, though. It would be a less secure Harvard. No chance of using Israeli-proven missile defense technology like the Arrow or Iron Dome to protect Cambridge from missile attacks.
That's pretty scary to think about. I can admit. That even scares me.
The Harvard Yale game is getting more intense every year.
I didn't even know missile attacks of Cambridge was an option. But now that I do know that this is on the table and that they're completely defenseless without an Iron Dome missile protection system, now is the time to act if you're Princeton or Yale. The Crimson's position is so extreme, it is almost laughably obsolete. Just months after diplomats from Israel's Arab neighbors, such as the United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Egypt, and Bahrain, showed up in Israel to deepen trade security and protect people-to-people ties, the Crimson wants to revert to the bad old days of Arab rejectionism. If the Crimson has any sense, it will apologize for the editorial and admit that it contradicts every important Harvard, journalistic, and human value. In the old days, when the Crimson had paying subscribers and paying advertisers, some of them might cancel in response to such anti-Semitic outrage. Nowadays, the paper is propped up by an annual giving from alumni. We may ask ourselves why we'd volunteer anything, time, money, expertise, to fund an organization participating in a campaign to wipe the Jewish state off the map and to rid Harvard of any Israelis. It's certainly nothing I feel like I want anything to do with. I'll just note that when this was published, someone looked into this guy's career as president of the Harvard Crimson and found an editorial he wrote when he was attending Harvard that was criticizing an administration policy regarding kids on the quad playing that game Assassin. I don't quite remember how this game works, but it's like someone's the assassin and you have to like sort of murder people by winking at them. Is that the correct game? It's like a sort of or so there are versions of it you redo with water guns. It's sort of like a
it's like
a college
version of like a murder mystery dinner.
Yeah. And his reasoning was that this actually sends a good message because heretofore Harvard has been associated with the anti-war movement and regarded as a bunch of effete wimps. So if kids are allowed to play the fun assassin game, then maybe they'll join up. They'll join up for military service in Vietnam or in the past or something like that.
They should do playing it with live ammo. They are Harvard students, and they deserve nothing less.
Yeah, that was. I have to say that shifted a lot of things in my heart. Like the idea of a Harvard where like students like their eggplant gardens or their orange groves aren't irrigated using Israeli techniques is pretty horrifying to think about. Let alone the missile thing.
Yeah, once again, Larry Summers, given the old RT to this brilliant editorial, or letter to the editor, rather.